Hello to all our dear followers. Today we're going to talk about a spot the world counts on to keep the light of its economy burning bright, a place called the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow and blue waterway plays a more vital role in supplying global energy than any factory on Earth. The Strait of Hormuz is about 139 kilometers long and narrows to just 39 kilometers at its tightest point. But the key fact is that only about 10 kilometers of that 39 are usable by massive ships. The rest is either shallow or poses other dangers. Now imagine every day 20% share of the world's crude oil and just as much liquefied natural gas, plus thousands of commercial ships per year, pass through this very narrow strait. This place sees more traffic than even the busiest streets in your city. Saudi Arabia is the world's top oil exporter and tops the charts. Iran also has massive resources, but due to sanctions, it doesn't play a major role in global exports. It simply can't sell easily. Roughly most of the exported liquefied gas passing through the strait belongs to Qatar, and only a small percentage comes from the UAE. Even though Iran holds the world's second largest natural gas reserves, its share in natural gas exports is very small. Iran mostly sells gas through pipelines and in very limited volumes, so little that it barely shows up in global export statistics. Qatar shares gas fields with Iran, and by utilizing those shared gas fields, it has become the world's third largest exporter of natural gas, with the US and Australia holding the first and second spots. So, who buys all this oil and gas? Most of it goes to Asia, countries like China, India, Japan, and South Korea, and a small portion goes to Europe and the United States. Of course, the US is one of the biggest exporters of oil and gas itself and doesn't need much imported fuel since it has plenty of its own. But on the other hand, about a large portion of China's oil imports pass through this route, making the strait critical to its energy supply. Now just imagine what would happen if one day the Strait of Hormuz were to close. Asian countries like China and India would have to get their oil elsewhere, from countries like the US or Russia, which are among the world's top oil and natural gas exporters. Suddenly, there would be a shortage of oil and gas, and prices would soar. That would mean a global inflation shock. Fuel, plastic, and thousands of other things would all become more expensive, so much so that even someone living in Antarctica would feel the effects. But in the middle of all this market chaos, some countries would profit heavily. Countries like the US and Russia, who are major exporters themselves. They'd sell their oil and gas at multiple times the price and make huge profits. The Strait of Hormuz may look like just a tiny dot, but in reality, its importance to the world outweighs that of many entire countries. It is a highly sensitive and strategic location. We hope you found this information helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.